Good morning. We are starting basically paragraph writing in today's class, and the title of the paragraph is Juvenile Delinquencies. And dear students, basically this class is focused on assignment writing. It's your second assignment, and we are dealing with paragraph which is in English second paper basically. And this topic is very important for the students, not only for the students, for the teenagers, because you know that juvenile delinquency, what is this? It's a kind of, juvenile means the teenagers, and these teenagers, when they are involved into crime, it is termed as juvenile delinquencies. Now, as this is the paragraph I said already, and mostly if we want to term this paragraph, that what type of paragraph is this one, we can say that this is basically a cause and effect type of paragraph, and the word limit is 150. Now, in paragraph writing, there are some rules that you have to maintain. These rules were discussed in our previous classes by different teachers, and different types of paragraphs are also discussed in those classes. And in today's class, I have already mentioned that we will basically focus on juvenile delinquency, and since this is assignment writing, I will also focus on the ways of preparing an assignment. Though I gave you some ideas in the previous class, I talked about the cover page. I also talked about the style of writing of assignment, and in today's class I will basically stress on not only paragraph, the structure of the paragraph, but also on the content of juvenile delinquency. I have already said that juvenile delinquency means the crimes committed by the children. Now, what are the elements that this paragraph should include? I have taken it from the website, published in the Directorate of Secondary and Higher Education, and you have to prepare your paragraph answering these questions or answering these points or stressing on these points. What are the points? The first one is what is juvenile delinquency, and then how teenagers are being involved, how are the personal and social life being affected, and suggest the ways to come out of this crisis. Now, these are the four things you have to include in your writing. You all know that paragraph should be written in a single para, so nothing to talk about this, nothing to discuss this. So the your paragraph will start answering this question first, that what is juvenile delinquency. I will discuss, I will give you some points, but don't expect that I will give you a prepared paragraph on juvenile delinquency. I will give you plenty of ideas regarding this term, and I will give you the causes of juvenile delinquency. I will tell you about the impact of juvenile delinquency on the society and on the life of the teenagers, as well on the life of the family members. And according to the questions or instructions, I will also talk about the ways, the possible ways to come out of this crisis. So these are the four issues that I will discuss in today's class, and apart from this, I will also give you some ideas about marking scheme and banding scale that I hinted even in my previous class. Now, what about the structure? The structure of a paragraph, we all know that it is divided basically in three parts. So, the first one is topic sentence, the second one is development of ideas, and the third one is concluding sentence. Now, dear students, you all know that there are certain things that we have to maintain in writing skills. And since we are dealing with paragraph writing, so the structure is important and the style is also important, and at the same time the content is also very important. So what you are writing about juvenile delinquency. So that is important, that I discussed the points in the previous slide, and the structure of the paragraph is also important. It is written in a single para, but what will be the format, what will be the structure of that paragraph? The paragraph will start with topic sentence. So what is a topic sentence? A topic sentence is basically and mainly the beginning sentence of the paragraph. It can come as a second sentence, no problem about that. sometimes we see that some people, some writers, they also suggest that a paragraph is divided into 5 parts. They say topic, introducing sentence, or topic, a sentence which will introduce the topic, and then they say topic sentence. So, topic introducer, then topic sentence, then development ideas, then modulators. They include another point in the structure of paragraph, and then concluding sentence. So, 2 are missing over here. The first one is topic introducer is missing over here, and the second one is modulator is also missing over here. So, I will discuss what those 2 things are. Topic introducer is basically introductory sentence in any paragraph which introduces about the title of the paragraph. But that sentence is less important than the topic sentence, because topic sentence is basically the sentence of a paragraph that holds the entire paragraph, around which the ideas of the paragraph revolve. So, that is topic sentence. Topic sentence is the heart of the paragraph. Topic sentence is the soul of the paragraph. So, that is the main sentence of any paragraph, and as I said, the topic sentence can come at the beginning of paragraph, it can come as a second sentence of the, basically it can come also as a second sentence of the paragraph. So, let us restrict ourselves to this division, I mean 3 parts of paragraph, as it has been also suggested by DSHE. So, topic sentence is the main sentence of paragraph around which the main ideas of the paragraph revolve. Development of ideas, it means that your ideas will revolve around the topic sentence. Your ideas will generate new content, new things, new issues regarding the topic sentence. So, what you said in the topic sentence should be elaborated with sufficient number of ideas in the paragraph, and those ideas have to be organized in a proper manner, and that is the organization of a paragraph, you know. So, development of ideas don't simply mean, or doesn't simply mean, that it is the sole part of the paragraph, but these ideas have to be organized in a proper way. So, organization, that is why, is very important for paragraph writing and essay writing as well. Content focuses on ideas. So, if somebody asks you that what do you understand by ideas, so you will answer that ideas are basically content of the paragraph, or in case of essay you will say ideas are basically the content of the essay. So, number of relevant ideas, irrelevant ideas are not necessary for any piece of writing, but these ideas have to be generated and organized in a proper manner. So, the idea of organization, the style of organizing your paragraph by using linkers or connectors, by using different types of sentence structures, by producing and providing different types of points and ideas are very important, and this is basically known as development of ideas. So, development of ideas includes the style of organization or coherence as well. And concluding sentence in any type of paragraph is basically what you say at the beginning of your paragraph, or as an introduction of the paragraph, or in the topic sentence. The concluding sentence is again to tell basically the or to clarify the beginning of the paragraph, or to clarify the topic sentence finally. So, the concluding sentence and the topic sentence, there is a kind of similarity between these 2 points, and you have to conclude in your paragraph the same way you started your paragraph. Now, we are going to indicators. What are these things? Dear students, you understand that I am discussing so many things at the same time. Why am I discussing so many things at the same time? I am discussing the structure of the paragraph, I am discussing what type of paragraph is this one, and then I am also discussing the points of the paragraph, I mean this particular paragraph, and at the same time I am also telling you the indicators that have been prescribed for you, that these are the areas based on which your paragraph will be marked. So, your paragraph will be marked from different point of views. Firstly, the structure of your paragraph has to be appropriate. That means it has to contain topic sentence. It has to contain sufficient number of ideas. Thirdly, it has to contain a concluding statement as well. And secondly, what type of paragraph you are preparing. I say that though it has not been mentioned over here, but according to the instruction and according to the points that have been suggested over here, I personally guess that it's a kind of cause and effect type of paragraph, because the points they claim that what are the reasons behind juvenile delinquency, and it also claimed that what are the impacts of juvenile delinquency. So that is why I personally feel that it's a kind of cause and effect type of paragraph. So these are the indicators. That means these are the areas you have to focus. These are the areas you have to emphasize while writing the paragraph. You will emphasize on the issues like topic sentence. You have to emphasize on the issues like generating a relevant number of ideas. You have to emphasize on concluding statement, but those are issues regarding the structure of the paragraph. But what about other areas like indicators, that how your paragraph will be marked? Say for example, you have fulfilled the structural criteria of the paragraph, but does your fulfillment of the structural criteria of the paragraph can claim good marks? No, not at all, because structure is one thing and the content is another thing, grammar is another thing, vocabulary is another thing, so information is another thing. So these are the issues that you have to deal properly to get good marks. Sometimes students come to us and they say that why did I get less marks? I explained it in my previous class. I will again explain. So can you understand that what are the areas that you will be marked? The areas are organization. So what is organization? Your ideas, when they are properly organized in the paragraph, it is called organization. How will you properly organize your paragraph? How will you beautifully, nicely organize your paragraph? If the ideas are properly organized, if the ideas come coherently in your paragraph, and then you can claim that your paragraph is well organized, or you have maintained coherence of the paragraph. So that is organization. And when you try to organize a paragraph, remember one thing, you need the use of linkers or connectors or cohesive devices, whatever you say. What are linkers? Linkers like however, moreover, but, apart from, not only but also, again, so. So these are the linkers. You can easily understand. Similarly, firstly, secondly, thirdly. So you can easily understand that when you will try to organize your paragraph or the ideas in a proper way, if it is a narrative type of paragraph, you will need one kind of linkers. You understand? If it is comparison contrast type of paragraph, you will need another type of linkers. If it is cause and effect paragraph, you will need another type of linkers. So knowing the linkers and knowing the proper use of linkers or connectors is very important to organize a paragraph or an essay properly. So this is one of the area through which your paragraph will be marked, and I will show you that each part of these indicators, I mean all these indicators, they carry marks separately. What about information? So the title of this paragraph is Juvenile Delinquency. So if you can provide sufficient information regarding the causes or the factors what are responsible for juvenile delinquency, so these belong to the area of information. If you can also tell the impact of juvenile delinquency on the delinquents or on the family members or on the society or on the state as a whole, then you can claim that you have provided sufficient information to this paragraph. What about vocabulary? So what does vocabulary mean? Vocabulary means, you all know that it is words or appropriate words. So there is a misconception regarding vocabulary. Some students, they think that using unfamiliar vocabulary will claim them good marks. No, it's not appropriate. The notion is wrong. What is important to know, that you have to use appropriate vocabulary. And let me tell you one thing properly, that you need to know the synonyms of words. Why? Because in paragraph writing or in essay writing or in report writing or whatever type of writing you say, you need to use almost the same meaning over and again. So you feel the necessity of using the same word again and again. So dear students, that is why knowing the synonyms of words is very important. So if you know the synonyms of word properly, you can use those synonyms one after another. So the boredom vanishes. And what about grammar? There is again a misconception regarding grammar. By grammar, what we understand that grammatical accuracy, that I am not making any grammatical mistakes. So that is the popular notion of knowing grammar. But it's not right. What is right about grammar? Whether you have successfully used different types of structures in your writing or not, whether you can use simple sentences or not, whether you can use complex sentences or not, whether you can use compound sentences or not, whether you can use different types of structures in your writing or not. So this indicates grammatical range. So our misconception is that we think that grammar is basically grammatical accuracy. So grammar is not simply grammatical accuracy. Grammar is also using or having that capability of using different or varied types of structures in your writing. So that is known as grammar. Now, there are two types of marking scheme. I also discussed in my previous class. Let me ask you one thing, honestly, that if I give you a piece of writing to mark it, so how will you mark? I said, and I want to repeat it again, that sometimes it so happens that one teacher's marking varies from another teacher. It is very normal, it is very natural. So the way I will mark one script, it's not the same way another teacher will mark the script. So don't you think, don't you feel there must be some criteria, there must be some scale, there must be some marking scheme following which the teachers will mark the scripts. Otherwise, when I am marking the script without having any banding scale in my hand, there is always the possibility of subjective checking. Subjective checking means, say for example, childhood memories. You are writing an essay on childhood memories, or you are writing a paragraph on childhood memories. Your writing has attracted me, but your writing may not attract another person, because I like the points you used, but another teacher may not like the points you used. So as human beings, we have got some biasness towards some certain things. So in order to remove this biasness, in order to remove this subjective marking style, there is the provision of marking scheme. So what is the analytic marking scheme and what is holistic marking scheme? Analytic marking scheme, for example, say this paragraph will be marked out of 16. I am using the board now. Now, this paragraph will be marked out of 16, for example. Now, how will I mark this paragraph? Should I give, after reading the paragraph, I am giving you, for example, 10. So, what is the basis of my giving marks? There must be some basis of giving marks. So, the theorists, they have suggested that you can mark it in two different ways. Number one is analytic marking scheme, and number two is holistic marking scheme. What is analytic marking scheme? I showed you 4 indicators. One was organization, this is organization, then it was information, and then grammar, and then vocab or vocabulary. Now, I will divide this 16, I am marking your paragraph out of 16. So, I will give 4 marks to each criteria, So, this is analytic marking scheme. I am giving 4 marks to each criteria, and I will check your script from this point of view, from this point of view, from this point of view, and from this point of view. So, this is going to be analytic, and this is the best way to mark a script. But there is a problem, you see. If we check the script of hundreds of copies or thousands of copies in minimum time, what we basically face when classes go on, then it becomes very difficult for us to mark the script in short period of time. So, the theorists, they have talked about alternative marking scheme, and that one is holistic. So, what happens, in holistic marking scheme, they suggest that you don't need to divide, in different indicators, but you just give marks. But still, they suggest one thing, that even if you mark, or even if you follow holistic marking scheme, there must be a banding scale, you know. So what is banding scale? Both holistic marking scheme and analytic marking scheme, they have banding scale. So what is banding scale? You know, you have also banding scale, and it's available in the notice. They say that when you will write excellent, you will be given 14 to 16, then 11 to 13. So against these criteria, there will be some descriptors, you know. Against these criteria, against these marking, there will be some descriptors beside the marks. So that is banding scale, but these two things are marking scheme. There is a difference between banding scale and marking scheme. You know, marking scheme means whether I will divide in different indicators or not. That is marking scheme. I am dividing it in 4 indicators, and over here I am not dividing it into 4 indicators. But banding scale is applicable for both these two issues. You are excellent if your mark is between 14 to 16. Through this criteria or through this criteria. So you can ask me one question. The question is that when it will be a holistic marking scheme, so how will you give marks? I will give you marks because there will be some you know, descriptors over here. I will show you. There will be some descriptors over here. And what will be the descriptors? Those descriptors will guide me. They will say the organization will be good. They will say, it will say the information will be sufficient. It will say the grammatical range is appropriate. It will say the vocabulary is also appropriate. So these things will be discussed over here. So in holistic type of marking scheme, we don't need to include this. So holistic type of marking scheme basically provides banding scale, only banding scale. Holistic type of marking scheme basically provides only banding scale. On the other hand, analytic type of marking scheme provides both marking scheme and banding scale. And what is the main difference? That you have to check the copies in 4 different ways, and then you have to add these 4 different marks you have obtained in different 4 sub-skills, and then the total marks will be put over here, and you will be termed either as an excellent writer or as a good writer. So this is basically the difference between holistic marking scheme and analytic marking scheme. What may be the marking scheme? Don't bother, but there must be a banding scale at least. Why the banding scale is necessary? I am again showing you on the slide. I am going to the slide again. Now, indicators with descriptors. So I have prepared it in my own style, taking the help from, you know, the notice that you can also see. You will get 14 to 16, you know, when your organization strong, logical organization according to instruction with proper topic sentence. Remember, you will get very good marks. I mean 4 out of 4. These 4 criteria have been divided and each criteria, it contains 4 marks. So if your organization is absolute, that strong logical organization, logical means you have arranged it properly in the logical sequencing, and you have successfully used the proper topic sentence. So you will get 4 out of 4. Information, presentation of enough information collected from various sources. So if your paragraph contains sufficient information regarding the causes of juvenile delinquency, regarding the impact of juvenile delinquency and other issues, then you will get 4 out of 4. Vocabulary uses a wide range of vocabulary without repetition. As I said earlier, you need to know the synonyms of words. You need to know different types of phrases and use of phrases. Then you will get 4 out of 4. And then grammar uses a wide range of prepositions correctly. So I don't understand why they are telling only prepositions, but you know, every marking scheme or every banding scale it has got some, you know, not weaknesses, but got some confusions, I must say. So there is no banding skill or there is no marking scheme in the world that will satisfy you fully. If you ask me that if I were in the position, would I include some more criteria over here? I would definitely include, and probably I would say over here in case of grammar, I would say uses a wide range of prepositions correctly and uses sentences, different types of sentences properly, and uses different types of structures properly, but it doesn't mean that the banding scale or the marking scheme is not good. It's very good marking scheme, and I basically appreciate the government and the initiative taken by the DSHE office that they have finally they have come up with a banding scale and with a marking scheme, because there is no international examination which does not use marking scheme or banding scale. Even in IELTS they use banding scale. So getting acquainted with this sort of banding scale is very important. There may be some confusions, but every area in the world contains some confusions. So avoid those confusions. Don't bother about that. But this is still very good marking scheme. This is excellent marking scheme. But we try to include certain things over here. And what did I include? I said that in case of grammar, if a student uses the prepositions properly and claims that, sir, I have used the prepositions correctly, so your indicators only claimed in grammar portion correct prepositions. So why did you give me less marks? Because I made some grammatical mistakes in other areas. I have no answer. So I am telling you, not only prepositions, but also you have to maintain grammatical accuracy properly, and you have to use different types of structures properly over here. So if you can maintain all these things, then you will get good marks. And I have included another band. This is the second band. If you are a good writer, then what happens? Moderate organization of ideas. You can also see this in the notice which is available, I said. Now I am again going back to the paragraph. So I discussed so far basically the theoretical issues of paragraph writing and marking scheme. Now I am straight going to the paragraph which we are dealing with in today's class. And main points of what is juvenile delinquency, how teenagers are being involved, how are the personal and social life being affected, suggest the ways to come out of this crisis. Now let's proceed. What is juvenile delinquency? I told you at the very beginning that I don't think that I will give you a prepared paragraph. That's not ethical, that's not fair. I will just give you plenty of ideas. I will give you plenty of options. I will give you some information, and it's your responsibility to prepare in your own style. So I have used different types of sentences over here in different languages. And what are the sentences? What is juvenile delinquency? It refers to the crimes done by the teenagers. You can say this. You can also say delinquency refers to the violation of law by a child. Not simply delinquency, juvenile delinquency. I must say juvenile delinquency refers to the violation of law by a child or by children. So you can also use this language. You can prepare it in your own language. Juvenile delinquency refers to disruptive or illegal behavior by children or teenagers. So this is another sentence, and you can also not use this sentence. You can also take help from this sentence. Then I am saying a young person who is not yet an adult and who is guilty of committing a crime is called a juvenile delinquent. So who is a juvenile delinquent? A juvenile is a young child, and delinquent, I said, it's a crime. So a juvenile delinquent is a child who is below 18 and he has committed a crime. A social crime committed by a person below 18 years of age is known as juvenile delinquency. So what I wrote over here, or in the first slide regarding juvenile delinquency, I just wanted to give you ideas that what does this term indicate, what does it mean, and who are considered as juvenile. Children below 18 years, they are considered as juvenile. Sometimes they also commit crimes, as these crimes are known as juvenile delinquencies. These crimes cannot be tried in the court the way adults are tried in the court, because they are not adults. So they are, the court procedure varies from adult to teenagers. What is juvenile delinquency? It continues, not treated like adult criminals as they do not come under the penal section. Why don't they come under the penal section? Because they are below 18. That is the reason they do not come under the penal sections. And what happens to them if they are really, convicted, and if we see that the child has really committed a crime? So what can we do to them? There are some laws, but basically the best way is to send them to rehabilitative homes or rehabilitation center. And what kind of crimes they usually commit? Don't think that you have to include all these things as introduction. I said that I will give you plenty of things just to make it clear that the issue we are dealing with in today's class. So what are the examples? So what kind of crimes they usually commit? That is, those examples are arson, vandalism. Arson, what does it mean? Igniting fire. Vandalism, destroying everything. Theft and robbery, what is theft and robbery? Drug peddling, what is drug peddling? Eve-teasing, murder, attempting suicide, betting, begging, involving in causing damage to someone's property. And there is also physical assault and some physical related, gender-related crimes also. So these are basically the kind of crimes the children tend to commit. Now, how teenagers are being involved? So we now understand that what is juvenile delinquency, but how the teenagers are being involved, why they are prone to committing crime? Because they are children, they are supposed to play in the field, they are supposed to attend classes in the institution. So why do they feel the urge of committing crime? There are many reasons. It can originate from dismal poverty. So poverty can be one of the reasons that forces them to be criminals. So you cannot justify that if a child is poor, he has to be criminal. You cannot justify it, but it can be one of the reasons that triggers the child to go for delinquent behavior. Erosion of moral values. Gradually what we observe in the society, not only in Bangladesh, everywhere in the world, that moral values are declining. And there is a kind of erosion observed in the standard of moral values. So this is another reason which are forcing the children to delinquent behavior or to delinquency. TV serials with crime scenes, spending too much time watching movies and video games. So there are some TV serials, and I don't mean that all the TV serials, they inspire children to commit crimes. I am not saying that. I am saying that there are some TV serials, not in, I am not simply talking about the TV serials of Bangladesh. I am talking about international TV serials, because since the entire world is open before us because of the emergence of information technology and internet, so we cannot restrict our problems to our country only. And since everything is open, the children have enough scope to go for TV serials with crime scenes. They sometimes spend too much time watching movies and video games. And not only that, there are some sorts of video games, some video games are notoriously popular, like PUBG and Free Fire. So this sort of games, they also instigate or inspire the children to go for different types of criminal activities, and it destroys their mental setup. It destroys them completely. So these sort of things are, triggering the delinquent behavior, are stirring the delinquent behavior within the children. Cross the limit set by the parents and elders, they find it adventurous. Sometimes we notice there is a tendency, there is a tendency among the children, there is a tendency among the teenagers. They think that what the elders say, what the parents say are very boring. So there is a kind of habit develops within them, and they try to violate what we suggest. They try to break whatever we instruct. So this, and they sometimes they show adventurous type of behavior. Adventure is good, but when your adventurous spirit is not minimized, is not tested through logic and your intellectuality, then it becomes very dangerous. Peer influence sorry, drinking and smoking. There is another reason which works behind juvenile delinquency is peer influence, I mean the influence of the friends. And the influence of the friends sometimes drive them to drinking and smoking and different things as well. So, the friends are also very important. The friends play either very good role or very bad role. So, the children may be influenced by their friends, and thus they may lead to or they may go to different types of criminal activities. It continues, family influence. Some research has proven that families in which there is no strong emotional bonding tend to have juveniles who turn out to be delinquent. This has been proved according to some researchers. And what does it mean? It means that in our nuclear family right now, in the families, the bondage in the families, the emotional bondage in the families, it has declined. We must admit, we cannot avoid this allegation. And because of this poor emotional bonding among the family members, the children get scope to be delinquent. Lack of parental love, and naturally when the parents are also busy in the office, the parents are also busy with Facebook and doing this and that. When the parents also don't give time to the children for different activities, and they don't try to understand the emotions of the children, these things also become responsible for the children to be delinquent. Parental control and discipline, and when I don't give sufficient time to my children or sons and daughters, so I basically lose the right to guide them. When I will try to discipline my child, when I will try to control my child, when I will try to make my child adhere to my instructions, then I must spend some time with them. Then I have to be emotionally attached to them. Otherwise, why will they pay heed to me? Why will they listen to me? Sometimes the parents are very harsh, they are very firm. They don't want to give any space to the children. This is also not good. Sometimes there are family disputes between husband and wife. So these family disputes, and not only husband and wife, among different family members, and this has got a negative impact on the children as well. Parental separation, so divorce, parental separation, this also has got an impact on the children to become delinquent. Single parent, so this concept has also developed over the last couple of decades, that there is either mother or father, and the child is being reared by either the father or the mother. So this is impractical, this is unnatural. Now, what is natural? The natural thing is that a student has to be reared up by his father and mother. So if you see that you have got only father or you have got only mother, so 50% of your emotions stay ignored. So this is also very vital. So this has got an impact on child delinquency behavior. Step parenthood families may also be a factor. Family members belonging to criminal background, so this has got an impact also. If the parents or if the father or if the mother is linked with some sort of criminal activities, it has got an impact on the children as well, resulting in what happens that the children, by being impacted, being influenced or affected by these factors, their self-esteem becomes very low. Children with weak physical and mental abilities also show delinquent behavior, used by others to commit crime, and sometimes children are also used by the criminals. I don't know whether you have read the novels by Charles Dickens. Oliver Twist is also a beautiful novel. So if you read this novel, you will see that how the children are being abused by different types of criminals. How are the personal and social life being affected? So what are the effects? What are the effects of these if the children become delinquent? Affects the victims of the delinquents. Those who are affected by the delinquents, there is obviously an impact. Affects the juvenile delinquents themselves. So the teenagers or the children who are delinquents and who are doing criminal activities, they are affecting others whom they are making victims, and they are also victimizing themselves, because getting involved in criminal activities, they are not only destroying the life of the victims, but also destroying themselves. They are destroying their own families. They are even destroying the society and the state as a whole. Most of these crimes make the juvenile to lose his or her freedom. When when the juveniles, they are involved in criminal activities, they basically lose their own freedom, because they will be tried, they will be sent to a rehabilitation center. So thus they lose their own freedom. Missing academic activities that will take place during the probation or incarceration. Now, when they will be sent to the rehabilitation center, they will definitely miss the academic activities. The trauma of having juvenile delinquent in a family can potentially create instability for other members of the family. Now, if there is a delinquent child, if there is a delinquent in a family or a criminal child in a family, then the family itself gets shattered. There is a kind of instability develops in the family. Juvenile delinquency is closely related to physical behavior, drug use, gang involvement, etc. So these are also the effects of juvenile delinquency, because it changes the physical behavior. They start using drugs, they start getting involved into different types of gangs. Juvenile delinquency has serious effects on a number of societal groups. It therefore affects the society negatively by affecting the community. So it affects the community, it affects the families, it affects the the individuals themselves, it affects the juveniles themselves. The problem also challenges government agencies, and not only that, it has become a problem for the government itself. And the term has become, I said, very notoriously popular over the last few years, that there are some gangs that have emerged with the juveniles, and they are getting involved in different sort of problems, different sort of criminal activities, and their criminal activities originate from different sources I have already mentioned. And one of the sources I said that the emergence of information technology. So they are using the negative side of the information technology, not the positive side. Every aspect has got positive and negative impact, but they are using the negative things. It is our responsibility to guide them, to direct them to the positive things of information technology. So it's our responsibilities. Now the government and the society, everything is getting helpless. The organizations, educators, faith communities and politicians alike, they all are being affected by the juvenile delinquents. Now, can we suggest some ways to come out of this crisis? Obviously, we can suggest some ways. What are the ways? Stopping children from involving in criminal or antisocial activities is the main objective. We all know that we must stop the children from being involved in criminal activities. How? Preventive measures such as counseling and guiding the youth. So, we must take some preventive measures. Once the child becomes delinquent, we can send the child to the rehabilitation center. But that is the last resort. But if we can save the children early, if we can protect the children from being delinquents, that should be our objective. How can we do that? Educating parents and providing shelter to delinquent children. So we must take some precautionary steps, and even if our effort fails, then we must give some counseling to the children. We must give some guidelines to the delinquent children. Poverty eradication programs should be taken up in right earnest. So we all know that poverty should be eradicated from the society. Religious and moral values have to be upheld. No, you have to uphold the religious and moral values and teach them that these things are forbidden in religion, and these things are forbidden even in the moral standard of our society. So if we can instill the values and essence of religious belief or religion and moral values in the children, then it can work. To inculcate cultural values among all the sections of the society, and we have to engage the children in different sorts of cultural activities like songs, musics, debates, and there are games, sports. There are other sorts of cultural, co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities by means of which we can keep the children safe. So these issues are also very important, and we can try to implement these things in the society. The human rights laws should be enforced. So we know that human rights should be enhanced. The teenagers and young people should be treated with love. We all admit that they should not be hated, they should not be ignored. Even if they go to the delinquent, even if the children become delinquent, still we have to be very positive towards them. Families influence children positively, and our families should behave in a rational manner, and they have to influence the children positively, not negatively. And when they will give money to the children, they have to ensure that the children are using it positively. When the parents give different things, technological things to the children, they must monitor that how technology is being handled by the juveniles, by the children. Parents should ensure that they closely monitor the kind of company that their children keep, and the parents should also monitor that the friends with whom their son or daughters, they are mixing, they are spending time. What about their standard? They should ensure that their children engage in productive social activities, and they should ensure that their children are involved in productive activities, not unproductive activities and dangerous and criminal activities. In school, teachers should keep a close eye on pupils to ensure that they know their activities, and this is also very important. In schools, basically in schools, and the teachers, they must play a vital role. They must try to understand the behavior of the children as well. Apart from academic part, they have to be very close with the children, because the teachers can play the most important role in this field, and they have to convince the children that this is good and this is bad. Not only telling them that this is good or this is bad, but also providing sufficient examples, but also widening the horizon before the eyes of the children, but also helping them to dream about life, to helping them to materialize their dreams in life. So this is how the teachers can play a vital role. Schools should also ensure that they know the backgrounds of children in order to fill the gaps that may be left by the parents. And the background, family background, also plays an important role, and the teachers should also realize it, and they have to handle the children from that point of view. Preventive matters, I have already said. The juvenile should be monitored and guided while at home. I have already mentioned it, and the juveniles should be counseled, monitored at home, monitored at school or education institution, and still even after that they become delinquent, they have to be counseled, and there must be some recreational facilities. Recreation is or must be there. During our time, we used to read different types of storybooks, novels and other type of reading materials, and now the children, they have lost their appeal towards this sort of books. So is it their responsibility only? Are they responsible for losing their interest in books and stories and other reading? Maybe we are also responsible. Maybe we could not guide them in the proper way. So our responsibilities are to ensure games to the children. Our responsibilities are to ensure a cultural atmosphere, a productive atmosphere to the children, to ensure recreational facilities to the children, to let them go to the fields, to ensure games and sports so that they can spend their time in a proper way. The recreational facilities will give the juvenile alternative hobbies that will occupy their time after they are released from custody. And we don't expect that some children or teenagers or juveniles will be sent to the custody, but we will try to prevent them by engaging them in this sort of things I mentioned. But even if they are sent to the custody, after coming back, we must try to ensure the things that I said earlier. Training will equip the juvenile who may have quit school with entrepreneurial skills. Even after coming from the custody, we can teach them and initiate them and inspire them to take some entrepreneurial skills. These two things I said very important: games and cultural activities, and reading storybooks as well. So I don't mean games, video games. I mean games. You will go to the field. You will go to the outdoor sporting activities. You will get yourself involved in outdoor games and activities, and at the same time cultural activities as well, different types of cultural activities. So when you are involved in these sort of activities, when the guardians, when the teachers, when the families, when the state machineries, they can ensure the children this sort of things like games and cultural activities, probably we will see some sort of positive things in the behavior of the juveniles. Concluding statement, we are now coming almost to the closing part of our discussion. Delinquency is an enormous problem in the society. We all know that. I said that conclusion is nothing but the repetition of the same thing of the introduction in a different language. The effects of delinquency are far-reaching, and they are therefore affect the community, victims of the delinquent, the society as a whole, and even the delinquents themselves. I have already said, so the same thing as I said earlier. A number of inventions can be used to prevent and reduce delinquency. It is thus vital that the interventions are taken seriously in order to reduce the number of delinquents. So we have to try to reduce the number of delinquents in the society by applying the different types of alternatives I have already mentioned. And this is the ending of today's discussion, and this is the topic I discussed in today's class. I said about the structural things of writing a paragraph, the style of writing a paragraph. Then I also discussed the different indicators by means of which your paragraph will be marked. So you will get this sort of marking scheme and banding skill in other writing skill test, and you have to prepare your assignment following these instructions, and I hope that you will attend the classes regularly. But finally, what I want to say, that the juveniles or juvenile delinquency, we should not make the juveniles responsible for their criminal activities alone. Our society, the teachers, the guardians, the different social organizations, the state, if we all do not come together to handle this or to manage this problem, to handle this problem and try to overcome this problem, it will be difficult for us because it has already started to destroy the structure of the society, and we don't know where it will lead to. Let's hope for a good future for the juveniles, for the teenagers, and let's hope a good future for our country. Thank you very much.